Put your foot down. You're off. Come on, you gotta go. I love you. Frankfurt Marathon happened on Sunday, and following on from our first Q&A, we're finding out how it went. So how did it go?
It didn't go to plan. So like I said in the last video, the goal was 2 hours and 24. And, well, I ran 2 hours and 29 and 34 seconds, which is a PB, a very, very small PB. But the race didn't turn out the way I'd hoped for, not even close to it.
Yeah, so is it fair to say that you were quite disappointed with Sunday?
I was absolutely devastated.
You were, yeah. He cried like a baby, which...
I cried during the race. I cried during the race, I cried after the race. I'm not ashamed to say that I was emotional. The marathon is cruel distance, and it can break you down physically and mentally, and that's what it did to me.
Yeah, it's emotional whether it's good or bad, isn't it?
Yeah. I've cried when I've run good races, so I'm not afraid of shedding a few tears.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk much about crying because I do it a lot. So what do you think happened on Sunday?
Well, I guess we can start at the beginning. Everything seemed to be great. Warming up, I felt really bouncy, felt fresh, my legs felt amazing. I was really pumped. I was almost like worried that I was getting a bit too excited too early before the race started. But when we set off, it was a relief that the target pace felt incredibly easy.
And target pace, now the plan was to, you said in the last video, was to tag on the back of a pack or a group and draft.
Yeah.
I saw you at 3k and you were Mr. Solo.
Yeah, I was running solo from pretty much the beginning. The plan was to go through in 72, but no one seemed to be running exactly that pace according to my watch. So I had the elite women up ahead, and I thought they're probably on for like 2:20, so I shouldn't be going as fast as them. But then I thought maybe the people behind me were going a bit slow. One issue I got was my watch was causing me havoc. It was saying I was at 5:30 odd pace, and then it jumped to 5:14, and this was on an average pace for the lap I was on, so it wasn't giving me accurate data. So that's when I had to start doing some maths.
Yeah, because again, I saw you at it was just before 10k when I saw you, and you were looking very comfortable. You were extremely comfortable at that point, but you were shouting at me, "What's my splits?" What up, Matt? You did 5k in 16:43.
What's the pace of the mile?
It's not giving it.
Yeah,
what am I doing?
I wanted to know, because my watch had just
You had no
was giving me no idea, and I was doing some maths in my head, but I wanted to know, based on the timing maths and stuff, if I was spot on or if I was going a bit quick or a bit slow. I didn't want to lose too much time at that point, but I also didn't want to be going too quick. And it turns out I was pretty much running bang on what I wanted to be. I went through half in 71:56, which is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
But there are other issues that I faced on the day other than losing GPS.
Okay, so your other excuses are?
So let me preface this by saying I ran at 2 hours 29. It was 5 minutes off my target. It wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. Clearly I didn't prepare enough or prepare for the certain things that could go wrong. I don't want to make excuses, but here's my list of excuses.
Buckle
Yeah, they are excuses, but they're also just what happened on the day. That's what I faced, and that's the challenge of the marathon. You never know what you're going to face. But from very early on, about 5-6k in, so really early on, felt super comfortable, the pace. Legs felt amazing, but I got a stitch on my right hand side. I thought nothing of it. I've had stitches before. I just like, okay, forget the stitch, just focus on your legs. And that was fine. But as I progressed, the stitch actually went away for a few k, and then it came back, and then it went to the right and left hand side and centre. So it was almost like a stitch across I don't even know, like almost like like the whole diaphragm was tensing or something. I don't know, but anyway, I was in a lot of pain, but I was just focused on my legs, how good my legs felt, focused on my cadence, forget that, and just keep clipping along.
Yeah.
So I went through half, still thinking, forget the pain, focus on the legs. One of the issues was, at about halfway, I started burping a lot. And with this burping, it then ended up being throwing up into my mouth and throwing up bile. So I was throwing up bile and swallowing it. And again, I was just trying to ignore this and focus on my legs. But it meant that I wasn't in any state to take on any more gels. So I got through 2 gels, but I couldn't stomach anything else.
And that was also another factor, was that you couldn't actually get to the gels that you'd put out on the course, could you?
Yeah, I knew this might be a problem, so I put gels and drinks out all over the course, and I took 2 gels with me, which isn't enough for me. As backup, the ones on me were meant to be. I couldn't get anywhere near my bottles. There was a table with about, 100, 150 bottles on there, and even though I had decorated my bottle with feathers and whatnot.
I've got to say, the decoration on the bottles was amazing. We saw them being carted off, didn't we, in the morning?
So everyone decorates their bottles so that you can pick them out on this table. But at the pace I was going, I was scanning the table. Only one table did I even see my bottle, and by the time I'd seen it, I was well past it. So that really was something I'd have to take into account next time. But saying that, it got to the point where it didn't matter if I did see my bottle, I couldn't take anything on. And that was because of these issues where I was throwing up into my mouth. And I didn't know what to do about that, so I tried to ignore it. But the further I got into the race, these issues started to have knock-on effects.
Yeah, well, they would, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so that lack of fuel that I was taking on, the lack of electrolytes, meant that I got to 30k, still on target for 2 hours 24, and that's where it really started to go wrong. The stitch was still hurting, but at this point now my legs started to feel quite empty. I was lacking in fuel, and then at about 35k, both my hamstrings started to cramp, so it was clearly needed those electrolytes, needed that salt, but I wasn't getting it on.
Yeah. I think a lot of people though will actually kind of give you kudos for finishing, because if I was being sick in my mouth from that early on and facing all those problems, you gotta, do you feel proud that you finished and that you did get a 20-second PB? 20 seconds?
It's a funny one, because I'm actually, one of the things I kept repeating in my head when it got to the point where I was almost bent over in pain and burping all the time and throwing up all the time. It was really horrible. But I kept on saying, be proud of your mental strength today.
Yeah.
Even if your body's letting you down, I want to finish this race knowing that you are so mentally strong that despite everything going against you right now, you're going to get to the finish. And I knew it'd still be a good time, whatever happened, because I'd gone through in 72 and because I was still digging as deep as I could.
Yeah.
So I am proud of my performance. I'm just very disappointed as well. Disappointed with the time, proud of myself.
You did beat yourself up a little bit after, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I allowed myself to wallow in self-pity for a little bit, and I think
but you need to.
I think when you put months and months of training, and I put months and months of training, then got injured, then put months and months of training. I've been waiting for this chance to run a marathon fast for a long time, and for it to blow up my face like that was a huge disappointment, and not to even really let me have the shot that I felt like I deserved was, a massive disappointment. So I let myself feel sorry for myself for a bit, but they're all these things are things I need to learn. I need to learn what went wrong. I don't know. I have some theories, but until I delve deeper, I still don't know why I had those issues, why I never get those issues in training, why I never get those issues in shorter races. I shouldn't be getting a stitch at 5k, 6k, running at a really comfortable pace. I shouldn't be throwing up into my mouth for no reason.
Yeah. So some investigative work to be done.
Yeah.
But that's the trouble with the marathon, isn't it? You spend so long training for it. It's not like a 10k race where you can go again the next week and kind of, okay, something went wrong last week, so let's try and correct that the next week. You're not getting many marathons to try.
You only get a few.
What's going on?
You only get a few shots. If they're your A race, you really only get 2 or 3 shots a year.
Yeah.
And I put 2 blocks in and got 1 marathon out of it, 1 A race marathon, and it didn't go my way, and that's disappointing. But I love the marathon. I love the challenge. I love trying to work out how to tame the beast.
Yeah.
And it didn't go my way this time. But I'm really, really excited for the next block and for the next one, and to get it right next time.
And take some positives away from it, because there are positives to take away from it.
There are positives. I got to 30k despite my struggles.
Yeah.
I got to 30k on target for a 2:24, and that's and that's 30k. That's only 12k away.
Yeah. So what's next then?
Get fat over the winter, I guess. No, some cross country, maybe some road races. But the big goal now would be London next year.
Yeah. We go again.
We go again.